Let's start off with the Copa America third place, and then we'll give you a preview of what's happening tomorrow. As we said, we are here on Saturday, only one game. Euros do not have a third place game, but Copas do. Canada, 2, Uruguay, 2, and Uruguay ends up winning in penalties. So congratulations to Uruguay finishing third. Canada let one slip away. If you watched the game, it was in the palm of their hand, and I actually thought this might have been the best performance that Canada had in this tournament under Jesse Marsch, and plenty to talk about. But initial thoughts on this game?
Very entertaining for a third place match. Bentancur scored first. Ismail Kone with an acrobatic finish to make it 1-1. Then Jonathan David gives Canada the lead late, but Luis Suárez equalized again in second half stoppage time, becoming the oldest scorer in Copa America history. We go to penalties. Canada missed twice. Kone denied by Rochette. And then Alphonso Davies, shades of Messi against Ecuador. He tried that chip down the middle. It hits the post. And so Canada lose. They have to be kicking themselves because they had so many chances to blow this game wide open, and they didn't take advantage.
I mean, they could have scored 4 different goals. So in one sense, Jesse Marsch has to be incredibly proud of the way that they played. Obviously, the result is not what they wanted, and they let it get away at the end. But the way in which they play was good. And I know people will say, you should have locked it down. I think it just shows some of the, I guess, immaturity that Canada still has. But that's something that can be worked on over the next less than 2 years leading up to 2026. And that really, I think, is the big point and the big positive. Make no mistake, this is an overwhelming success for Canada and for Jesse Marsch in terms of this Copa America. And as we've said time and time again, they did what we had hoped the U.S. was going to do. And this is, if you're looking for things to build on, I mean, Jesse Marsch in this third place game, not for nothing, he also made, 8 changes or something like that, and started 8 MLS players, and ultimately they were really good. And as a matter of fact, you can even make an argument that they didn't play as well when he started making some different changes up there, but at least they went for it. Ultimately, that naivete that they can get out of their system going forward, I think it goes back to what Jesse Marsch had talked about, was there's a lot of potential here. It's up to him to maximize that potential. And certainly a 4th place finish for Canada was not something that I think he, if he's honest with himself, or anybody saw coming, but wonderful things to build on when it comes to Canada.
Now, Darwin Nunez started up front for Uruguay just days after that incident, after the semifinal against Colombia, in which he went into the stands and fought with the fans. And that led to an incredible exchange between Marcelo Bielsa and a reporter in the pre-match press conference. He was asked if he was worried that his players would be suspended. And Bielsa was incredibly offended by that question because, as we said the other night, what happened there was the families of the Uruguayan players were being harassed by Colombian fans. So Bielsa felt like they were well within their right to go protect their families, and it was a breakdown in security. And then once he got going, he started going off on all other aspects of the tournament, from the field conditions to the refereeing, even brought up FIFA Gate. It was quite the rant from Mr. Bielsa.
Well, I mean, isn't that what we've come to expect from him, in that, El Loco is going to loco? And it was equal parts valid and fair, many of the things he was talking about, and at times ridiculous, but that's kind of part and parcel for what he and who he is. When it comes to the actual events the other night going up into the stands, and we talked a little bit about at the time, I don't think that anybody begrudges a player who has just finished a game, by the way, a game that you lost, and the emotions are running high. You're in a cauldron of an environment in terms of 90% Colombia fans, and you look up and you see your family, your wife, your children in, a volatile and potentially dangerous type of situation. Anybody is going to sympathize and understand that you're going to go and you're going to protect those that you love. And I think his point was well made. I don't necessarily think that anything should be done. You don't want to encourage players, obviously, to go up into the stands. But in this instance, I think there's absolute justification. And look, I get it. There's probably other layers to this, and the story probably has multifacets out there, and maybe that story ultimately will get told. But certainly on the surface, when you look at it, and when you look at Bielsa defending his players, going and protecting the people that they love, I think all of us can empathize. All of us can put ourselves in those types of shoes and recognize that is something that we would all do. Now, all the other stuff that he talked about, well, at times, again, may be valid, but don't think for a second if they had won that game and they were playing in the final tomorrow against Argentina, that I think he would have had that type of meltdown. I think he used the third place game to really kind of go off and make some points that either he wanted to make or just kind of came to his crazy head.
Now, Jesse Marsch had some interesting comments in his pre-match press conference. He said Canada have been treated like second-class citizens at this Copa America, and then he was asked about the U.S. job. He says he's not interested. He's happy where he is, and as long as the people who are in charge in the U.S. Soccer Federation stay in charge, he doesn't think he'll ever be interested in that job.
Did he specify in any detail as to why he felt that Canada was being treated as second-class citizens?
Not that I saw.
Okay. And this Jesse has done this before. He kind of alluded to problems in the process of the coaching search that he was involved with and that he was a candidate for the U.S. team. Jesse, in this instance, more power to him. He recognizes the platform that he has, and he's going to sing while he's winning, as he should, especially in this moment when the U.S. has been such a failure, and that he picked this moment to crap on the U.S. Soccer Federation, I don't think is necessarily a surprise, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a human thing. But let's be very, very clear. When Jesse's talking about changes in the U.S. Soccer Federation, hell hath no fury like a scorned coach. And what Jesse really is saying is those changes is somebody in there that would have hired him. And ultimately, he didn't get hired. And he is, as we said before, I think where he should be. I think he's doing a great job. He deserves all the plaudits and all of the credit for what he has done with that team in a very short period of time. But as we've said before, now it's 8 games, 1 real win in the 8 games he's been in charge. Let's see, 4 goals for and 11 goals against, something like that. Oh, and by the way, they played 2 games with red cards and stuff. So I'm not going to tell him to slow his roll, because in this moment, he should celebrate. And if he wants to bring in the U.S. situation as part of it, and to be fair to him, he was asked to comment on it. That's fine. But it also doesn't mean that Jesse Marsch should have been or should be the U.S. coach.
Now, on the topic of managers turning down the U.S. job, Miguel Delaney and David Ornstein reporting that Jurgen Klopp was approached and said no. You responded on X by saying, "Good, thank you, Jurgen. Don't waste our time." A lot of people interpreted that as snark on your part, but you told me today that was not the case.
No, not at all. I don't want to be led on. And look, sometimes when coaches, you are coming in as a suitor. Like humans, they are all coaches are humans. They like to be feted. They like to be celebrated. They like to be blobbied. They like to be lured. And I just appreciate that if this is ultimately true, because we still haven't heard Jurgen Klopp, and I know Rob Stone on air kind of wanted to make sure that, hey, this may or may not be over, but until we hear Jurgen Klopp definitively say, no, that's not something that I want to do, yeah, he's using his intermediaries and the press to do that, if that is true. But I like the fact that we're not going to spin our wheels. I like the fact that he's not going to make us run after him. And I'm not saying that you don't woo him, but if this is the case, I like that he was just clear-cut. And no, we're not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste our time. And he's not going to just kind of say, well, maybe, maybe not. No, he's want to do some other things. And we don't have time to waste. Games are coming up in September, and let's move on and let's spend the time and resources wooing the people that do want to do it. Because there cannot be a half-assed type of approach, even for the likes of Jurgen Klinsmann. I know people are Jurgen Klopp. I know there are people out there who would say, oh, well, a 50% Jurgen Klopp is better than the blah, blah. No, I want somebody that's invested. I want somebody that says, hell yes, that is something that I want to do. I want somebody that looks at this situation and says, damn right I want to do it because I see the upside. I see the opportunity. Maybe it's just completely personal in what I can do with me and my brand. All right, maybe there's some altruism involved. But no matter what, I want somebody that sees this for what it is. And I think that it's a great opportunity. And if you don't see it for what it is, then I don't want to waste my time with you. And I don't want you to waste my time. So that's what I was saying then.
The psychic, incidentally, if we can get back to that.
Yes.
I was told that she predicted Hervé Renard will be the next coach and that Jimmy Conrad will coach the U.S. national team someday.
Really?
Yes.
Were they drinking that moonshine stuff that they like over there? What the hell? All right. I mean, there's a lot of people that are talking about Hervé Renard as a possibility. So when it comes to, we talked a little bit about Bielsa, but when it comes to this Uruguay team, has this tournament changed the way that you feel? I still think it's a very good team, but is it as good as we thought?
No. The way they started, they scored 8 goals in their first 2 games, looked like world beaters, and then they got progressively worse as the tournament got on. So I don't think they come out of it with as much momentum as it looked like they were going to have at one point.
What about Bielsa? Are you still a disciple and are you still worshiping at the altar of Bielsa?
I love the man, and he does have them.
What do you love about him? Just because he's different and he's what? That's it?
An eccentric character.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's good. You know.
And he does have them second in World Cup qualifying. Yep. They've beaten Argentina and Brazil, so they're off to a strong start there.
Can I say one thing about him, screaming and yelling about the fields and about America and FIFA and all this kind of stuff? This is a CONMEBOL event. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. This is organized by CONMEBOL, right? So when it comes to the fields, when it comes to, the organization, like I said, obviously there is involvement when it comes to the United States in terms of the facilities and security and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, this is a CONMEBOL event. And so if you have a problem with the Copa America, go talk to CONMEBOL, all right? If we're organizing it, it's a different type of thing. And it should be said that the World Cup in 2 years will be organized by FIFA, including the fields. These are not necessarily the fields that you are going to see when it comes to 2026. And certainly after this summer, I think that a lot of scrutiny is going to be on the fields going forward. And these are much more temporary types of fields as opposed to the summer of 26, where a lot is going to be laid down. There's going to be a lot more technology, and there's going to be, let's be honest, a lot more cost involved in making sure that the fields are good.
In fairness, in Bielsa's reign, he did go after CONMEBOL officials as well.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so it was fun. And that's why I say, when Bielsa does these things, as I said, there's a fair balance of valid points and ridiculousness, but it's all interesting. It's all entertainment and entertaining. And he is the ultimate content creator for us and everybody else out there in the things that he said. And the passion in which he does it and his gesticulation and, the way that he uses his voice and all that kind of stuff, it is a theatrical type of performance when you see it done. And I can understand how you and many would be taken by that. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.